Hello, Rabbi. How are you?
I'm good today. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing okay. And I note your background is Legos. I love Legos. I grew up loving Legos. Legos were my favorite toy as a youth because you used your imagination and you could put Legos together in any way you wanted to make anything you wanted. And that was the cool thing about them. Now you buy a kit and the Legos are in the kit and you only can put them together in one way to do the picture on the front of the box. And there are only enough Legos to make that exact kit. And if you miss a piece or lose a piece, you can't make the kit. So the whole thing goes for blodget. Is that the word?
If there isn't a piece, what a great lead-in. Lego has a director of customer engagement. Okay, it's not customer service, and it's what's the other word that we sometimes use?
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. It's the
Omnibudsman.
director. Yeah, director of customer engagement. Lego receives over 4 million calls a year. If you get that kit and it's missing a piece, you call or send the card and they'll send you the piece. So you never have to worry. And even if you were to lose the piece, they'll send you the piece, knowing that you lost it and it wasn't their fault. That's part of their customer engagement. But your observation is really a good one. You can still buy Legos like the ones behind me and make whatever you want. The company realized some people wanted the Legos to make a specific object, so they started producing it. It was customer driven. If people wouldn't buy it, they'd stop making it, Joe.
But is there something wrong with, overlaying rules? There are some people who say, oh, I have to make this because this is what I bought. This is the kit that I bought. And
don't buy the kit, buy the 50 million piece Lego box, having every piece in the entire universe. Then you can go whichever way you want. I think you brought up a really good point about human nature. And that is, we have a lot of trouble with a blank canvas or a blank piece of paper. We really like to have direction. We want to believe we're doing it right. We want someone to look over our shoulder and say, that a boy, you're doing a good job. That's a great cartoon, Joe.
Yeah, and that's like, you like Legos because they snap together, but then like the first Lego movie where the father is gluing the Legos together so they can stay in the same place all the time once you build it. But do we as people need to have that? I always think that that's the antithesis of what the toy was originally designed for, and life in general. So many people could do anything they want, but they need somebody to give them a picture on the front of the box so they can make their life like that.
But see, that's why God created artists, because it's the function of the artist to present us with options. Human beings by nature, Joe, really want to connect the dots and really want to think they're doing the right thing and really want direction. That's why we have some wonderful churches and religions, and that's why we have some terrible churches and religion. That's why we have some great politicians and diplomats, and why we have some destructive politicians and diplomats, because it's human nature. So Legos are a really good example, Joe. You can just buy the pieces and make what you want. But I don't feel comfortable with my own ideas. Therefore, I can buy a box that has a specific. So it fills both requirements for human beings.
Well, what do we need to do? I can see a world where everybody needs to build the picture on the box. But I always encourage, when I teach people, I said it once to the class. I said, am I the kit building teacher? And they said, no. What am I? The art teacher. Right. So you can do whatever you want with the stuff as long as it's in this box. And it was actually at one point an IQ test or a challenge. The famous candle, 2 thumbtacks, string.
Yeah, I remember that.
In a box. And are we creating a problem for ourselves, even if people want it, by telling them it's okay to stay inside the box? Or should we get outside of that box? How do we do that?
Oh, I see. I think you brought up a really good point. We want to do both, Joe. And I think it's a mistake to think everyone has to think in the box or outside the box. What we need to do is teach each other there are times when we want to follow the directions, staying on the right side of the road, stopping at a stop sign. There are times when we want to stay in the box for safety, for health, getting vaccinated, not spreading germs and bacteria, washing our hands all the time, not just during COVID. That's for the good of society. So there are times when, then there are times to be creative, to modify, to look at the goal and say, how do I get to the goal? What if you're right-handed and make tying a knot? It's going to look different than if you're left-handed and tying the same knot. But the goal is to tie the knot, not how you do it. And so we want to teach ourselves and it be acceptable of many ways to get to a goal. There are some goals that we're best stayed going one way. It's not healthy. Jumping off a building to think you can fly is thinking outside the box and you'll get squished.
Well, I know one thing that I'm not when it's talking about knots, and that I'm not ever going to get tired of talking to you about all these subjects. Thank you so much, Rabbi. Have fun with your Legos and let me know what you build with them.
I certainly will. And keep in mind that Lego's customer engagement tells us to have fun, be reliable, be knowledgeable, and be engaged in whatever you do. I think the Lego motto is good for all of us.